There we go. Do my favorite part. Awesome.
Woo!
I love that music. I'll turn it up a little bit too.
Yeah, you do like that.
I do like it. I love the world of royalty-free music. And
Gotta get down.
that's right. Why is it still playing?
There we go.
Oh, hold on. What's going on?
Do my favorite part.
Oh, hold on.
Now what are you doing? Oh no.
Hold on. Shit.
Oh my god. I thought we were done with the learning
There we go.
curve.
All right, cool. The learning curve is done. I had another browser window open that was tuned into the webinar, and it started to suddenly show up on there.
Oh my god. You know, I'm surprised you even noticed it because normally
I know, right?
when he's online, he's 20 plus tabs open across the top. It's insane.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I've got so much crap open on my computer right now. So sorry, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the webinar. You know, it's a learning curve for all of us at all times. So let me close Sonos and mail and messages
Just
and
full
WhatsApp.
stop. Full stop. I'm just gonna enjoy
And
my
my
wine.
browsers. Oh, and my printer. Oh god. Normally I close everything up really well. Anyway, hope you can hear us. Put it in the chat wherever you are, Facebook or YouTube. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that our software is working out well. Welcome everybody to the webinar tonight, the Twin Cities
Webinar.
Wine Education / the Wine Workshop / Oscars in the House webinar.
Oscar in the house.
Yep, webinar. There we are.
Oscar, come here.
Yeah, say hi,
Right
Oscar.
Here. Oscar.
Come on.
No. Oscar,
Yeah.
right here.
You know what to do, Oscar.
Come here.
There we go.
Come here. Come here.
John says, "Yay, that's awesome."
Yay.
So yeah,
Oscar in the house.
So all of your comments in the chat, whether it's through Facebook or YouTube, or even coming through to us, welcome to the webinar. Let us know that you can hear us. Make sure that it's all working out well.
Yeah.
This can be a fun night. So know your importer is the theme tonight.
Know your importer.
Know your importer, and we're going to be talking about the role of importers, the role of wholesalers, how wine gets to you. A little bit about why the wine's kind of expensive in the United States, and why you can save money just by going to Europe.
Yeah.
John, who is on with us on the call, we're just out in Portugal with him, so you know, good times. So very cool. So and another John liking YouTube. Lori says hi, Oscar. You hear that, Oscar?
Oh,
Lori says hi.
And Joanne says hi to you too.
Yeah, Joanne says hi too.
Yeah.
There we are. So it's all good.
There you go.
Awesome.
Oscar.
Dave says sounds fine. All right, let's roll then. So it's
do
gonna be a good
this.
time. So welcome to the show. This could be a fun one. The role of the importer is super important. We got a bunch of cool wines to taste through. We're gonna be just drinking this for a little while before I tell you what it is. And
Actually,
it's
I'm doing an experiment.
oh, go for it.
I've got my nice Riedel glass right here, and then I have my Minnesota Garlic Festival glass.
Let me hold this up for everybody here. There we are. The Minnesota Garlic Festival, which happens every August on Hutchinson, Minnesota.
Yeah.
One of our favorite glasses.
Yeah. I love that little garlic.
We're suckers for stuff like that. I also have my favorite shark glass here as well, which we'll be playing with a little bit later on. So it's cool.
So let's see if it changes much.
See if it changes much. We're doing whites and reds tonight, so that's why I have two glasses.
Yeah, it smells a little stronger out of the Riedel.
Yeah.
But this just, I don't know.
It brings you garlic joy.
It does.
There we are. Excellent. So what we're going to be doing tonight is talking all about importation of wines and the role of the importer. We're going to be tasting through a bunch of stuff. This is going to be fast-paced. Throw any questions that you want to into the chats on Facebook or on YouTube. We'll see it all, and we'll just go from here. It's going to be great. So let's get started with this first. So
the graphic.
The graphic. So how wine gets to you. So this is a really, really good graphic, and it really splits the entire world of wine for American purchasers up into two categories. Number one, wine that's from America. Number two, wine that's not from America. Simple as that. Okay. So on the very top there on the left, the Winery USA, you see, if you're a USA winery, most of the time, you are going from winery to distributor. So that kind of light green right in the middle. The distributor is in the middle of this graphic for a reason. That's because they're kind of
Mhm.
the fulcrum in between the winery and the importation, and then the retailer and then consumer.
Mhm.
From the distributor sells the wine to the restaurant and to the retailer. The
Yep.
restaurant and the retailer sell the wine to the end consumer. But you
Yep.
see on the upper left there, a winery in the USA also has DTC at the very top, the direct to consumer channel. So
Yep.
you go to a winery in Napa Valley or in Washington or Willamette Valley or
and it's
Hutchinson, Minnesota.
And it's sign up for our wine club.
Yep.
And then they start shipping you wine.
Yep. Or you buy a bottle right there at the tasting room.
Yes,
Yep.
or you buy a bottle right at the tasting room.
And that's
either way,
yep.
It's the winery selling it direct
yep.
to you.
And that is called
consumer.
DTC. Now, a little insider info for everybody.
Mhm.
The most expensive place to buy a lot of wines is ironically through the winery in the United States, because the winery rarely wants to undercut their retail partners.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be seen as the bargain way to get a wine. Because if a retailer comes out to visit them and learn more about their winery, and they see that they're selling the wine for 30% cheaper than the retailer ever could,
Mhm.
that's a problem. And
Yeah.
the retailer won't carry it. So
Yeah.
ironically, one of the most expensive places to buy wine in America is at the winery.
Mhm.
And that's okay because the winery has a lot of built-in price or built-in costs as well. So, I mean, I'm okay with it.
It's
You know, it's finding the balance. It's
Mhm.
finding the balance. So,
Yeah.
and then you'll also see within state self-distribution for a
Mhm.
USA winery. So this means that in most states in the United States, a winery can sell directly to a retailer or to a restaurant. And so they bypass distribution, they sell directly to them at wholesale costs. Now, it's different state to state. And even in our state of Minnesota, there are two different tiers of wineries. There's a
Mhm.
farm winery and a production winery. And only farm wineries can sell directly to retailers and restaurants. A production winery can't.
What's
And
the difference between farm and production?
Minimum of I think 4 acres or 8 acres of vineyard and a contiguous property.
Uh-huh.
And so like Moose Winery
Yeah.
in Jordan,
Uh-huh.
Josie can't sell directly to Jordan
Oh.
wine shop or whatever it's called.
Gotcha.
She cannot sell directly to the liquor store down the street from her. The wine has to go to a distributor that she's teamed up with in St. Paul, and they have to drive it back out to Jordan to drop it off at that shop, because that's the dumb law.
That's really stupid.
Yeah, it's just stupid. So anyway, so we're kind of ignoring that right now. I just wanted to kind of get that out of the system, because we're not talking about USA wineries and distribution. We're talking about importation.
Mhm.
So on the graphic here on the bottom left, winery outside of the USA.
Mhm.
So at the very bottom, that long line that goes directly to the consumer, DTC sales. So we just got back from a big trip to Europe,
Mhm.
and we were at wineries, and we gave them money, and they gave us bottles, and we carried them home, and that's direct to consumer.
Mhm.
Simple as that.
Mhm.
I cannot buy, if I was a retailer, I could not buy wine to bring back to sell.
No.
But as a consumer, you can bring back wine to drink.
Yes.
Yep. So
That's
that long line at the very
that's
bottom there.
The
Yep.
difference is that wineries, if they're selling it to you, the end consumer, that's the end
Yep.
of the chain. But
Yep, exactly.
there's all kinds of rules for people in the middle.
Question came through on YouTube here. Is that only the case in the USA? I think referring back to the Winery USA question. Yes. Throughout Europe, a winery can sell directly to a shop throughout the EU, as I understand it. So
Yeah.
there are distributors, but you could also make a relationship with a winery and the winery can sell directly to a shop, which is kind of fun.
Mhm.
Throughout the EU. So,
Yeah.
all right. So going back to winery outside of the USA, we have the role of the importer and the role of the distributor. So following the graphic here,
Mhm.
the winery outside of the United States sells wine usually to an importer. The importer represents wine to a distributor. The distributor sells the wine to the retailer or the restaurant. The retailer or the restaurant sell wine to you.
Mhm.
Everybody marks it up. They don't.
Yep. Everybody takes a cut.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they take a cut, because that implies that they're grabbing something that's already there.
That's true.
They're
That's
marking
true.
up.
They're marking
They're
up so
marking
that
up.
they can get there.
Yeah, so it multiplies up. You know, and
Everybody's got to get their nut.
yeah, gotta get their nut. Yeah. So the normal course of action is that the importer then sells to the distributor sells to the retailer sells to you, and then you drink the wine, and everybody marks it up. Now, what everybody's trying to do in this entire equation is the question is who holds the inventory. That's really what it's all about. It's all about inventory control, because if you're turning your inventory on a regular basis and getting enough turns out of your warehouse, then you can make a business out of it. Then you know what's going to happen with your dollars, and you can borrow enough money and hold on to it in the form of inventory in order to move it and profit from it. If the train slows down like it is right now, as far as wine sales being down, or if things are out of kilter right now because wine sales are down and vineyards are being ripped up.
Yeah.
I just read a report this afternoon that 7% of Napa Valley vineyards got ripped up this last year.
Wow.
7% of Napa Valley, 18% of Fresno County, which is agricultural, extreme.
Yeah.
But I think it was like 9 or 10% of Santa Barbara County got ripped up.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's all just a course correction that we're in right now. And it's a matter of just sort of finding the balance. So anyway, getting back to it.
But I mean.
Ross Otto. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the normal course of action. Now, looking at this chart here, there is a couple of other little lines here. The winery outside the USA can sell to a distributor/importer. And in some states, let me go back to the big screen here. In some states, not all, you can set up a business that has a distributor/importer/distributor license. You can bring wine in from outside the US, and then as a distributor, you sell it to the retailer or the restaurant.
So it's like one business that does both of those
jobs. Both, yep. But that is, it's in a majority of the states, but not all the states. And it's a state-by-state thing. So that happens quite a bit. That's actually what happens in Minnesota. In Minnesota, an importer or distributor is not allowed to hold a retail license. That's a no-no. There are 2 states that let you do that. Or I should say states.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're kind of like speeding through here.
Am I going too
and
fast?
You know what's really funny is that I know all this stuff, but I'm listening to you and I'm going, what?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can have somebody. So in Minnesota, you can have somebody who's a company that's just an importer.
Yep.
And in Minnesota, you can have a company that's just a distributor.
Yep.
And in Minnesota, you can have a company that is both an importer/distributor.
Yep.
So. Okay, so we've got a nice spectrum of ways to bring wine in
but
here.
But legally, none of them could hold a retail shop license.
Exactly. That's the key. These people, they can just distribute, or they can just import, or they can distribute and import. But none of those people in the middle can sell directly to the customer.
Yep. And just for terminology's sake, in the alcohol industry, when we say retailer, that means retail shop or restaurant. So the term retailer is simply the last chain that sells to the consumer. That's all it is.
Yeah, and within the business, I hope I'm not going to screw people up. Within the business, it's referred to as either on premise or off premise.
Right.
So on premise is a restaurant where you consume the alcohol on the premises.
Yep.
Off premise is a retail shop where you buy it and then you take it off the property.
Yep.
So that's kind of on-off.
And in states like Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
you're not allowed to have an on and off premise license at the same time. You can't be a wine bar / wine shop. They have to be separate with separate entrances and separate ownership.
Which I'm going to once again say is the dumbest thing on the planet, because it's hard to be just a wine bar without being able to sell a few bottles. Other states, like we've talked about Sioux Falls. In South Dakota, they've got a great wine bar scene because they don't have that same law. You can have one license for on and off sales
and sell food.
Like
groceries to go.
Yeah.
You know,
So
tinned
like you
fish.
can go in
Yeah.
and sit down and have a little nibble and a
Yep.
glass of wine. That was good. I'll pick up a bottle of that to take home. Oh, and a few cans of tinned fish and some other stuff. And
Yeah.
then you hit the road. And that's how
But
their
not
wine
here.
bars,
Oh no.
those wine bars are able to survive and do some really cool things.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway,
so a couple of questions. Lori asked, what are they planting in place of grapes? Anything that makes more money, which is basically anything right now.
Yeah.
And this ties into another question up here, I think from John, asking about, why is this happening? And why are they ripping up? Because of a downturn in the wine industry. For the first time in 35 years, 40 years, wine sales are down, and down kind of dramatically. Like, 5 or 6% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about millions of acres, it's a big hit.
Well, and then another thing, I mean,
we're doing our best to keep the industry alive.
We are. If wine sales were booming, I'm sure that wineries would be able to figure this out somehow. But this is combined with the fact that the labor is getting harder to find.
Yep.
Because a lot of it is migrant workers that come in and harvest grapes and tend to the vineyards. And we all know what's happening. So I'm not going to go political,
but fun questions coming through. I love these questions. So how does Ito do it? Ito is the wine shop is a separate entrance by law to the restaurant. The front foyer area is considered a common area, and it's separate ownership. And then Beverly asked, Sunfish had a bar and was a liquor store. Interestingly, Sunfish Cellars is in Mendota Heights, or was. They're closing up now. Mendota predates the state of Minnesota. So because of that, the city of Mendota can write laws that are not affected by the state of Minnesota passing things.
Mendota is kind of a little bit of Minnesota's Wild West.
Yeah.
They can get away with some shit that the rest of the state can't. Which, when we were buying our house, if I had known that then, I probably would have been more interested in seeking property in Mendota.
I know, right? All right. So let's go back to our screen here. We got a lot of wine to go through here.
Okay.
All right. So we're talking about importer, distributor, and then going to the restaurant and the retailer. And very, very few states have a exception. So let me. I think I've got a slide here on that.
Your slides on the other side.
No, here we go.
Those
there
are
we go.
questions.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
So Washington, D.C. and California. So Washington, D.C. is one of the only places in the country where you can have a importer, distributor, and retail license all at the same time with the same owner. And so Washington, D.C. actually has a really, really interesting wine scene because a lot of keen importers, smart importers, have set up little wine shops out there to sell directly to consumer at that end of things. California allows for an importer retail license. And we'll talk about that when we talk about Kermit Lynch in just a little bit here. So you can be an importer and have a wine shop, but you cannot be a distributor in California. So it's a very strange thing. I was looking into some of the other laws
track
too.
Of all of this is bonkers.
Yeah, Washington State has some kind of loose laws too, which is surprising to me because Washington is usually very controlling,
very tight and controlling in other ways regarding wine.
Yeah, but that was AI telling me that, so whatever. So.
Yeah, I think AI is full of it.
AI don't know shit.
AI don't know what it's talking about.
All right, so I hope that this little chart helps because it shows kind of this route that so many wines take, and as a result of all of this. You go to certain places in Europe and you can get wines dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And cheaper in the restaurant than at the wine shop sometimes too. I mean, it's just wild. So I was just looking at a menu that we brought back from Rioja from a year and a half ago. And this wonderful list of wines that we know and we love for €2.50 a glass. I mean, and for €10 for a bottle. And these are wines that sell for $18 to $25 around here. But it's just a matter of the markups. And the markups with the importers and the distributors, et cetera, make sense when you think about what goes into all of this. The transportation from the winery to the loading dock and the consolidation area in on the west coast of France or the west coast of Spain or Portugal, something like that. And then having to rent the container. Containers are insanely expensive, and refrigerated containers even more so. That comes all the way across the pond to either New Jersey or to Oakland. A lot of wine that's distributed on the west coast actually goes through the Panama Canal and goes all the way up to Oakland. It has to get unloaded. It has to get checked. You have to pay your tariffs. And then you have to ship that to a warehouse. You have to unload that. A lot of people are involved in the manual labor of unloading these pallets and checking everything in. And then it sits. And then it sits and sits and sits until somebody else buys it. And then you ship it off, and then that's that. It is a really, really hard business. And so the importers, what I want to really point out here is that the importers and the wholesalers aren't screwing anybody. They are an essential part of the machine, because there's no restaurant in America that's going to call up a winery in Europe and say, ship me 20 cases of that wine, and have it come directly to their restaurant.
Like
nobody has space.
In the end, it allows us to have a much greater selection of wines to choose from. And it allows restaurants to be able to have amazing wine lists without having.
But it's all about inventory control.
It is about inventory control.
Yep.
And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah. So like you were talking about the price increases.
Yeah.
It's a necessary. I'm not going to say necessary evil. It just is.
It just is.
It just is.
It just is. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it makes it really fun when you go to Europe.
It does when you find something that's amazingly good and really cheap. And you're like, oh yeah.
All right, so let's get into this here. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, so let's start off with one of our favorites, Kermit Lynch Wine Merchants. Flat out. I mean, this is the OG. This is the original. This is the one who makes the wonderful catalogs, the Kermit Lynch Wine Merchant catalogs. This is the one who wrote Adventures on the Wine Route 25 years ago, a seminal book in the wine industry. I just reread about half of this in the week before the webinar here, and it just, I forgot just how dear to my heart this book is. It is just so great, so good. But Kermit Lynch is the one who kind of started the whole thing, as far as I am an importer with a vision, and I'm going to hold to it. I'm going to go to specific places, support families, support small operations, and bring the wine in for the right reason. It is all cataloged here. Yep. Now, I also encourage everybody to go onto the Kermit Lynch website and sign up for their mailing list, because these catalogs are awesome.
They are.
They are beautiful. They are wonderful. They're in color. They have tons of information. And I signed up for this mailing list 28 years ago. I've never bought anything from their store. I've been to the store. Well, I bought stuff from the store at the store, but I've never ordered something through the catalog that makes them say, oh, that guy who we send a catalog to, 8 times a year is a great customer. Keep sending the catalog. But I'm still on the list. This is so old school and so awesome as a result. So be sure to check them out. The store is in Berkeley, California. And the wine that we have from Kermit Lynch is the Kermit Lynch Côte de Rhône Village right here. Hold on. Sorry, I have to do this. There we go. Because it's just such a cute label.
It is cute.
It's just awesome. So, and they just redid this label recently. So this is actually a wine made by Kermit Lynch. And Kermit now he's in his 80s. He lives in Provence half the year. His son Anthony.
Hell yeah, I would.
Yeah, right down near Bandal, near Domaine Tempier. He's the one who founded Domaine Tempier into importation in America. The story is in here. And he has this little Côte de Rhône. Anyway, so the thing about Kermit Lynch is this. He was the very first one to kind of stick his flag in the ground, promote it carefully through his book
Mhm.
and say less sulfur, less intervention, less oak,
Mhm.
more stories, more family, more organic farming.
Mhm.
This is what's important, and I'm not going to change my mind about any of this.
And also wines of quality.
Wines of quality.
You
Yeah.
know, all of those things are good and wonderful and noble, but if the wine isn't up to scratch,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, exactly.
He has a very high standard. Doesn't bring in crap.
Mhm.
And
this wine is delicious. It's
No.
super young.
yeah,
You know,
it's
primary.
it's young and it's fresh and it's approachable and drinky.
Mhm. Yep.
But it's good.
Yeah. But another thing I like about Kermit Lynch,
Mhm.
well, mainly his son, Anthony,
Mhm.
is that we met him once on a random Wednesday night in Napa Valley when we stopped at a store just to pick up a bottle of wine for the night. And
Mhm.
he was just hanging out with the staff there. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, 1 + 1, you're Anthony Lynch, your dad is Kermit. Oh my God, And so we had this long conversation all of a sudden there, and he
Mhm.
was just as down to earth as possible. He was up in Napa at a little wine shop doing the hard work himself. And that was just super cool to see.
That's
That was
neat.
just super cool. And
That's
and dude is fun. So just awesome. It was
So,
awesome. So
Way
yeah.
to go. Mhm.
So we bought this at Thomas Slicker's today. It's about $20 a bottle, right around
Yeah.
there.
Oh, and you show the back label.
Back label.
Just so people,
oh yeah,
you know, see.
yeah. So the classic
important.
Kermit Lynch.
Classic.
Yep. So
Mhm.
this is what you look for.
Yeah.
Yep. Look for that.
Okay. Just there you go. Yeah. It says Kermit Lynch.
Yeah.
There.
So this is a good
Easy
example.
peasy.
Yeah, this is a good example of here's an importer that you can trust.
Mhm.
And when you see that importation label,
Mhm.
it that's a good thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yum. Love it.
Mhm.
We had chicken thighs for dinner, and
Yum, yum.
that wine was good with chicken thighs. So
Awesome. Yeah, we opened it early.
all right, let's go into the chat here and make sure I'm catching up on everything
Catching
here.
up, make sure. Okay.
All right, so from Beverly, so the importer pays the tariffs and then passes that cost down to the distributor and on down. Yep. The importer pays the tariffs at the point of landing. So the problem with the tariff situation with Trump right now is that things happen randomly, spontaneously. If the boat
And out of the blue.
If the boat is on the water and the container lands, you owe the tariffs at that point, not at the point where they leave, but at the point where they land, which means that all of a sudden a wine importer could be stuck with a $100,000 bill that they didn't plan on, and that doesn't work for business planning very well.
So a lot of those importers have slowed or even halted some of their shipments because they just kind of are like waiting to see what's going to happen with tariffs because it takes a couple weeks for it to get from Europe to the coast.
Angie asked, what's the advantage of separating the roles of importer and distributor? It's all about inventory control. If you separate those roles, the importer might warehouse wine separately from the distributor. And really, in the end, it's about who's holding the inventory. And that's what it comes down to. So, and we'll talk more about that in just a sec here because I have an interesting little curveball for you on that. So, vintage of the Côte d'Or Village, Joanne mentioned 2024. Good stuff. So, let's move into the next one here because this is fun.
It is fun.
All right, so let's go into
what are we gonna do now?
Vineyard Brands here. So, and
Vineyard Brands.
And then
Look at you, got all your little fancy.
Got my fancy stuff going
your
on
fancy
here.
on screen.
So Miguel Torres Chardonnay 2022. So
all right.
So I bring this one up because it's just great stuff. Just amazing. So from the Lumari Valley in Chile. And I wanted to bring this up because Vineyard Brands, is one of the many great, awesome, high quality, larger national importers. There we go. Vineyard Brands is actually kind of co-owned in a lot of ways. Here's the wine that we're having. Co-owned by Chateau Beaucastel in Burgundy. And they just do a fantastic job
Ooh.
of importation and distribution. The Juhan family involved as well. I think. Hold on. I think I'm mixing up a couple of importers
Are
here. Yeah. As far as the Bull Castell ownership.
Yeah, you gotta refer to your crib notes.
My crib notes aren't here. So, sorry about that. The main thing is Vineyard Brands is awesome. So, and Vineyard Brands is Juhan. So there we are.
Oh my god.
Juhan family out of Burgundy. Along with the Haas family. So this is a good example of a national importer that has established themselves with a theme of high quality and a theme of kind of relentless pursuit of the classics, especially. There are a lot of newer importers that are kind of playing a fresh new game, which are great. Jenny and Francois is the one that comes to mind. It's all about pet nat and orange wines and kind of the cool kid wines and stuff like that.
Sure.
And Vineyard Brands is kind of on the other end of the spectrum. And I appreciate
very solid traditional,
and intensely good at what they do. But when it comes to the Chardonnay, I really really love this stuff. Robert Haas. There we go. Thank you, Russ. So
it's got that it's got a nice snap on the finish. It's very creamy up front. It's got that rich orchard thing going, and just kind of that classic Chardonnay having gone through Malo.
Yep. But it's this is the kind of wine that nobody's gonna not like.
But it's got plenty of acids and plenty of just liveliness to it. It does not hit like an oak butter bomb kind of thing.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
It's
super
good. Tasty.
So good. So we wanted to throw that out there because we talked initially about Kermit Lynch and kind of the old school classics that he has founded. And Vineyard Brands is kind of right on his heels as far as, we're going to take that model and kind of run with it as well. And there's so much good wine in the world that it's kind of easy to build a really great portfolio and represent these brands. So a little sidebar here. Part of the role of the importer is to represent these brands consistently and well. And so that means that they need to travel and work with the local distributors, do ride withs, do in-store tastings, represent within their territory a portfolio of brands to really elevate them. And I sound like a broken record here, but it does come down to inventory control. The goal of the sales rep of the importer is to sell wine to the distributor. And if they can report to their superiors that they sold, 14 pallets of wine in the first quarter, and last year I only sold 10, then that's a win. But they have to also make sure that those 14 pallets sell through. They can't just stop, because if they stop and rest and those 14 pallets suddenly became too much inventory for the distributor, that's a big problem when the next quarter comes up and more orders are not happening. So
then especially the next year when it's
a fascinating business.
You don't want to have vintages start piggybacking on top of each other.
So for instance, with this particular one, it's a 2022 Chilean Chardonnay. And, Chile being Southern Hemisphere, they're harvesting in March and April instead of what we're used to up here for September, October. And if this is still in the warehouse in a year and a half, come 2027, then that is seen by a lot of retailers and restaurants as like old product. And then all of a sudden, like the 10 cases that are sitting there gather dust, and all of a sudden it's stuck. And all of a sudden the distributor says, well, we're not going to reorder it because it just doesn't move. But it's just a matter of how much is the right amount to sell in. It is such a weird business because we're not talking about big numbers for some of these wines.
And then you also have to have a sales team that is behind it.
That gets it.
Sometimes, you get a warehouse that just gets too big. And the sales reps can't keep up with it, or they things get lost.
Bigger is not better in the wine industry most of the time.
that's when wine gets forgotten,
Yep.
and that's just so awful for
Yep.
a brand. And
Yep.
we just recently were talking a story about a winery that was having trouble finding a local distributor.
Yep.
Because they had been with a few distributors in the past that hadn't done a good job for them. The sales reps didn't move the product. And so they ended up going, oh, hi, George. Hi, George. So they ended up, now they're trying to find a new distributor because these other ones were doing a poor job. Well, some of the better places in town are looking at this winery going, well, we're not going to take you on because, your product doesn't move.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that was the fault of the
previous distributor, not the wine.
So they're in a tough catch-22 because just
George.
the politics. But hi, George. What do you want? George keeps standing up and touching my leg. Yeah. Hi. Okay.
All right, we do have a dump bucket tonight.
We do.
Yep. Da da da.
Dun, da, da.
Sweet Martha's cookie jar.
It's a Sweet Martha's.
There we go.
Oh yeah, all day long.
All day long.
One last sip.
Yeah. All right. So another white wine here.
Okay.
I wanted to pour this because I love these guys, but it's a different model, different business model. So here we are with Dallaterra Imports. And here's the wine here, the Alois the Gator Mitramara. Check out this cool label.
That label is fire.
Yeah.
That is
awesome.
So cool.
It's so cool. It's like this. How do you describe this? It's like, a flying cosmic
it's like a
whale.
flying cosmic whale over Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the castle and the fire, and it looks like fireworks, but they're kind of gears and
just awesome.
Or maybe it's a rock formation. No, it's not really a castle.
All right, so I want to explain this one to everybody because there are a couple of companies that work like this, but Dallaterra out of California, they're based in Napa. They represent Italian wines only, and they were the first ones to kind of do this model, and this is super interesting. So whenever you see a bottle of wine that says Dallaterra Imports, we go back to our little screen here. Here's what they do. They are not importers. They hold very little, if any, inventory on the United States side. They are brokers in the end. And what they do is they represent brands, wineries, and they connect the winery to the distributor state by state, all 50 states in the US. And those states work directly with the winery in order to get the wine shipped over, and then off of that invoice, a 10% or 15% cut goes backwards to Dallaterra. So Dallaterra functions lean and mean with little to no inventory. They hold a little bit stateside, just like for the buy the glass wines, just to make sure the machine keeps working. But for the most part, the wines are shipped in what's called DI, or direct import. Now, direct import is not something that tiny distributors can do, because we're talking about investments of $100,000 to $250,000 on a container of wine coming in 5 to 15 times a year, and then moving that product consistently through. But because of the way that the model is set up, the bang for the buck is huge. In other words, so in 2008, I was working for a distributor here in Minnesota that represented another Italian portfolio and Dallaterra at the same time. And there was a winery in that portfolio, Badia Cotabono, that switched from here to Dallaterra. And as soon as that happened, the wholesale cost of the basic Chianti went from $128 a case, $10 $10.67 per bottle, down to $84 a case in one swoop, because that entire layer of profitability was removed from the equation. And so what's interesting about the Dallaterra model is basically they're saying this: our wine costs what it costs, but it actually should be about 30% more expensive than it is. And therefore it simply over delivers consistently.
Mhm.
And so one of the wineries that they have in their book is Alois the Gator, and that's what we're
Mhm.
drinking from right now. This is a white blend, a brand new white blend from them. We've never had this wine until
No,
tonight.
this is super
Yeah,
tasty. I'm
super
sorry.
ca-
I'm gonna
yeah.
go back for a little bit more.
Yeah. And so this is a wine that's designed that is made with grapes from
Yeah.
winemaker or grape
Yeah, and
growers.
on the label, the Delatera is much more subtle than like the
Mhm.
Kermit Lynch was.
Yeah.
But,
So let me
still there.
hold that up so you see
Mhm.
it. So you can see their label there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Delatera Imports right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love these guys.
Mhm.
The company was founded by a guy named Brian Larkey.
Mhm.
Brian Larkey is one of the most interesting dudes I've ever met in the wine industry. I was able to spend some time with him out in Italy a few years ago, and he's just class act and funny as all hell. But what's really also fun about his business model, and this is not something you find with a lot of importers or representatives with wineries. So they are Italy only. And not only are they Italy only, but they're very concerned about not letting somebody into the club, so to speak, without everybody else saying that they're good. So
you're talking about wineries.
Wineries, yeah.
Okay.
So they will they'll consider a winery, and then they actually go back to their own winery suppliers and say, do you like these guys? Let's take a vote. Are you cool with them being here? If you don't want them in the book, then we won't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they're truly partners with all of their wineries.
That's pretty cool.
Which is an amazing thing.
To take a new perspective winery and vet it with the wineries you already have.
Yep.
Yep.
And then one thing he also built into it, this is totally insider baseball, but wineries he's free to cut a contract, and the wineries are free to cut the contract at any point with I think 35 or 45 days notice or something like that. You know, it's just face up poker all the way through. So you might know the Moscato d'Asti called Sirocco. Sirocco Moscato d'Asti, which is phenomenal stuff. Well, they used to be with Delatera. They decided to go with somebody else, and Delatera was like, really? Well, you're allowed to, because that's part of the contract. And so they left, and lo and behold, you don't see Sirocco anywhere.
Sirocco, I feel made a poor. They
mistake.
Chose poorly.
Yep.
On that one.
Yep, but, exactly. So
hey, I've got a picture of George when he was tapping me. He was standing right there. So.
Very nice.
George. George.
Oh my god. So Brian asked us, so should any good Jason seal of approval retailer have all these importers? Yeah, any of the really good retailers in town have a smattering of all of these importers. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So and Beverly asked, where does the label with the importer info get added once in the US? No. The importer info is added at the winery. All the labels go on at the winery. So this is something that everybody has to realize, is that when wines are like in Europe, they have no labels on them. So even if they're 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, whatever, they oftentimes have no labels on them because the label that goes on has to represent where it's going.
Yeah. So they'll be basically in these giant cages where they've stacked the bottles very carefully and very tightly in there. And the cage is labeled, but the bottles are shiners.
Yeah.
They don't have any label on them. And then once they know where the bottle is going to be shipped to, they put a label specific for that country on. So like the warning about drinking alcohol while pregnant and operating motor vehicles, blah, 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 that the Surgeon General's warning, blah, 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 goes on all the American bottles.
Well, one thing that was super interesting about our trip to Europe last month was that now the EU has a regulation for nutritional information and point of disclosure, but point of origin information from all wines required for the labels. So every bottle of wine sold in the EU has a QR code on it. And you scan that QR code and you can find out who grew the grapes, who made the wine,
Mhm.
where does it fit in conventional, sustainable, organic, biodynamic practices,
Mhm.
calorie count, additives,
Just
ingredient list.
amazing. So
Yeah.
the QR code or the link to that information
Yeah.
is required
In the EU.
in the EU.
Yeah,
It's
but not
not
here.
required on
Not here.
US labels.
No.
However, there is a QR code
Yeah.
on this one.
My
And
guess is that that's just a
do you think it's
promotional.
just their website?
Yeah.
Let's see. You know
But
what?
you
Here,
figure it
let's
out.
see where it goes.
You figure it out.
Because I just noticed they had it.
Yep.
Hello. Okay, hold on. We're gonna try this again.
All right, and I'm gonna get the next wine here.
You get the next wine.
Okay, cool, excellent. So,
Hi, George.
George.
It's a QR code, but my phone's not
Picking up
it's
on
not
it.
registering anything. Interesting.
What the hell?
Maybe you can get something out of it.
Let's see. Let's see what happens here. 1 second.
Get anything? I mean, it was showing up in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird.
Well, that's funny. There's nothing happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, alligator.
All right. I don't know what that's all
All
about.
right.
Since
All
I got my camera. Hi, George. George, look.
We're gonna shift gears here
Oh, I
into.
got another picture of George. And
George.
there's a picture of Oscar. Okay.
So we're gonna shift gears here really quick and go into Minnesota wine importer / distributors. So this is another layer of the cake. There's a number of companies.
So those combined.
Yeah, combined.
Mhm.
And in Minnesota, it's actually very easy to become a wine importer. It's not easy to be a distributor, but you can be a wine importer pretty easily.
Mhm.
So the costs are pretty low. The regulations are kind of low, ironically
Mhm.
and weirdly in Minnesota. But
The barrier to entry legally
yeah,
is pretty low.
pretty low. But so that means that a lot of distributors are
Mhm.
also legal importers of wine. And in Minnesota, we have a very, very interesting culture of really kind of high-powered, very awesome wine importers. And the one that I want to focus on right now is, there we go, Bourget Imports and Domains and Appellations. So let me get this here, and we're going to pop this bottle of wine. This is the Feline Jordan Picpoul des Panay 2024 vintage. And this is brought in by our dear friend, my mentor, in a lot of ways, Annette Peters. And Annette is...
This is really good, and I know I'm going to want some. I'm really enjoying this legator. It's
switch to the garlic glass?
Yeah. I've got a holding glass. Thank you for reminding me I have 2 glasses. Okay, I'm sorry. Your mentor, Annette Peters.
Yeah, so Annette
is
Peters,
fabulous.
a lot of you have met her if you've come to our classes that she's been involved in. We did a warehouse tour with her company a few years ago as well.
Yeah.
We'll do that again, I think, in 2026. It was just awesome.
It's great fun to be able to walk through a warehouse.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people get to walk
Yeah.
through a wine warehouse
Yeah.
and then taste a bunch of the wines from that warehouse?
So Annette has done an incredible job of sourcing amazing wines throughout Europe. Now, this sounds like the most awesome job in the entire world. Oh, I have to fly to Europe and travel around and taste wine and eat food and look at vineyards and meet family
and talk to winery people. And, oh no.
It is one of the hardest damn jobs you could ever imagine, because you're starting to taste wine at 8 a.m. and going well into the night because all the wineries want to hang out with you.
First off, there is just an insane amount of wine, and it very quickly gets to the point where it's like, oh my God, this isn't fun anymore. Seriously. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you're dealing with, if you're the kind of importer that's looking at small wineries, family wineries, you're driving, you have to fly to various places in Europe and around the world, and then get a rental car and start driving around and get to these places. And especially if they know you're coming and you've got this appointment, they are rolling out the red carpet for you because they really want you to pick up their wine to bring it to the United States. And grandmama's making stuff and everybody's doting on you hand and foot.
Here's our local cheese, here's our local charcuterie,
and they could be the most wonderful people on the planet, but if their wine isn't quite up to scratch, you have to look them in the face and tell them no.
You have to say no. Yeah.
After
And
they
that's
have,
hard.
after they have been such amazing hosts to you.
That's
because
really
it's,
hard.
It's more than just business. It's very personal.
Yeah.
It gets very personal very fast.
And so Annette is a superstar in the wine importation world. I mean, like nationally, but we happen to have her here in the Twin Cities. And so she found this, which is like one of the greatest Picpoul des Panais ever. And Picpoul des Panais, Picpoul literally means lip stinger in French. And this is sharp, crisp, lively, oyster friendly, smoked mussels, sitting on the beach by the Mediterranean wine. I mean, it's just perfect.
It's just it reminds me of before we started doing our New Year's Eve for smart people, and we would often find ourselves at the bar at Meritage to have some oysters at the beginning of New Year's Eve, and having just like a dozen of their amazing oysters with a wine like this. For some reason, all of a sudden, I just thought of New Year's Eve, and I'm just, maybe because the house is a little bit chilly, but I'm drinking this. And if it were summertime, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go outside, sit in the sunshine and drink this. But all of a sudden I found myself kind of like cuddling up going, oh my God, I want oysters. And I'm just imagining it being like freezing cold and snowing outside. It's like, that's just.
For those of you in the Twin Cities, we are doing New Year's Eve for smart people coming up on December 31st. It will be happening at the Highland Grill here in St. Paul. The theme is going to be Cicchetti, the famous Venetian tapas. It's going to be a 15 or 20 course dinner of little tiny itty bitty things.
Yeah, we haven't finalized the menu yet, but it's going to be a ton of little bites, and there will be something for everybody.
And for those of you who have never
flavors.
seen or been to or heard of New Year's Eve for smart people, it's for smart people because we start at 3 or 4 p.m. and you're done by 7. So
7:30. And it's smart twofold. One, if you're old like us and you ain't got time for all the drunk people on the roads later on, and you just want to go out, you want to celebrate, but you want to go home and get to bed at a decent time, it's smart. 2, it's smart if you are one of those young people that has some big party to go to and you're gonna live it up. Have dinner before you go to your party. That way you're not busting people off the buffet line, or you're not like elbowing people trying to get those little appetizers that go around the party. You're full, you're satiated, you got something in your stomach to absorb all that alcohol, and you can party and have fun and cheer the new year.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Exactly.
So whatever you do after our dinner, it's smart.
So a little sidebar here before I forget about it. So I'll make sure that you know about this event coming up on November 19th. This is a new kind of category that we have with Twin Cities Wine Education, Pour It Forward, where we are doing charity events where 100% of the proceeds go toward great causes. Not a percentage, not after expenses or anything. The wholesalers are donating the wine. The space is donating their area.
We're donating our
organization, our time,
and efforts,
and our email list
and time.
And it's just a nice little walk around tasting with maybe 10 or 12 wines available, but really high quality stuff all the way through and through. So it's going to be just a blast. But I want to put this out there. Make sure you know about Pour It Forward. Coming to Malcolm Yards. The first event for Pour It Forward is going to be Every Meal, which is an organization that does food programs for kids outside of feeding them at school. So basically dinners, weekends, making sure that nobody goes hungry. So please keep that in mind. All the information is on the website. We have the QR code up on the stream here, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows about that. It's gonna be cool, and we're gonna be doing more of these things in the future. I think it's really, really important, more so now than ever, to pour it forward.
I think just to remind just to stay reminded that we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Exactly. And regardless of politics and whatnot, you know what? I'm going to step off the soapbox before I even get started. Because I feel myself
So I'm just going to throw a few things up here from the Wine Thief and Ale Jail for tuning in. So smart and no driving. Woohoo! Awesome. Good to see you guys. Love you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So so here's another good question here. So I love to travel for wine and visit and support small growers, producers. Is it appropriate to email importers and ask them to connect me with their markets visits? Yes, as long as you're doing it kind of gently and quickly. I would say you can email importers and distributors for visits and say, hey, I don't mean to take up a lot of time. All I'm looking for is kind of a contact or kind of a little connection, and I'll leave you alone from there. But anything you do would be helpful. You know, the tough part for them is when it's email after email after email after email. And so as long as you're fast and quick about it and appreciative about it, then that little bit can go a long way for them. So kind of keep that in mind. Where's the QR code to sign up? So I have the QR code in the upper left corner for class schedule. It should be showing up on your stream right now.
Should be like
and
there.
Within the class schedule, we have the sign up for the Every Meal event. So very cool.
And if you can't find it, just go to twincitieswine.com.
And
upcoming classes, and it'll be there.
Exactly. All right. So another importer that I want to mention here, we don't have a wine from them right now, but as far as local importer distributors, I really like New France Wine Company. Now, I like a lot of people, and I don't want to. We don't have anything from New France, yeah. And I don't want to.
got good stuff. I want some of their stuff.
We'll have good stuff. Don't worry.
Well,
we have 5 bottles of wine open, so. So one of the better local importer distributors is New France Wine Company. New France has a team that is very focused on interesting, quirky, fun, but classically styled wines. And I really like what they're doing. So if you turn the bottle around and you see imported by New France Wine Company, I think that's a worthwhile
they've got some great wine professionals, great palates over there, and if it's good enough for them to bother, doing the importation themselves, then it's got my vote.
So the question was signing up for the New Year's Eve event. We actually don't have the tickets up for sale yet. So if you're on the email list, you'll get that notification.
Oh yeah. That's right, because we haven't
nailed down the details.
There's still like a wrinkle and a half to iron out before the pricing gets set.
New Year's Eve for smart people tickets go on sale. I'll just declare it. So today is the 7th. They'll be on sale, let's say on the 14th.
Okay.
Maybe earlier, but 1 week from today.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if people,
the 12th, when we'll figure it out.
You see what I have to deal with on a daily basis with him. Flip flop. I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do that. This date. No, that date.
Do you want some Barbaresco?
Yeah, let's have some Barbaresco.
All right,
cool. Let's say the 12th.
Okay.
The 12th.
Wednesday the 12th. Tickets will be on sale.
And
hold me to that.
I am going to hold you to that. 100%. The 12th. Get ready. Okay.
Yeah, you're so funny. All right, here we go.
I'm funny.
Yep, you are. All right, so one of our favorites locally, the Wine Company. So we're popping some Patine Barbaresco.
Yeah.
And right in the very back there, imported by the Wine Company.
Oh no, see that looks different. Sometimes it's smaller with their logo on it.
Yeah.
Some importers have a very distinct mark on that they have on the back of all their labels, and it never changes.
Yep.
Some it varies from winery to winery, and so that's a new look. But if it's imported by the wine company, it will say on there. It looks different on different labels.
So we have, full disclosure, we used to work for the Wine Company from 2010 until 2015. I started to work for them in 2010 because I loved them, even though I didn't work for them before that.
Well, you worked for their competitor.
For their competitor, but I always respected them. And Wineco is kind of built on the Kermit Lynch model in a lot of ways, in terms of European focused classic wines. Burgundy and Rhone were kind of their focus to begin with as far as forming the company.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of love. They find cool things, they represent cool things. And what I also appreciate about what they do as a business model is, and it's just like with New France and with Bourget as well, they will support their wineries when the wineries need support. If the wineries are struggling and they need payment a little bit faster, or they need a little bit more to be ordered, they'll in a heartbeat say, yeah, we're here for you. We're in business together. And I think that is one of the biggest hallmarks of a great importer, is that they're willing to do this one hand washes the other.
Yeah. It's a
thing
it's
with
it's
everybody.
it's a complete relationship.
Yep.
It's not hardcore, someone's getting strong-armed business, if you don't do it our way, then hit the road.
Which of course happens with some of the larger importers. So I'm not throwing any shade. I'm not going to throw any mud here. I'm not going to even name anybody who I consider to be a not very good importer. I'm just talking about who I like. Okay. But there is, a level of importation that is just kind of big business. And it's tough going, and it's cutthroat, and it's very annoying to hear the bad stories that happen.
Yeah.
So
that's sad.
So the future of the wine industry is really in this level that we're talking about here. This mid-tier level of importation, because they're working with families.
I feel so. I think that when you get some of those super big corporate run wineries or groups, or a company that owns a handbag company and a liquor company and a winery over here, and they don't really care. Okay, I'm not going to say they care, but it's just a spreadsheet and numbers, and it's all about profitability and optics. How does their brand rank,
right?
As far as is it seen as a luxury item or whatnot? And that's a completely different business. It's a completely different business model, even though they're making fermented grape juice and putting it in a bottle shaped like that. It's I think there's that split is going to become wider. That you're either going to be like a big commercial juice, or you're going to be an artisanal producer of something really fine.
So I gotta go backwards.
What's this? What's this?
So earlier I was talking about vineyard brands, and some of the wineries I started to mention there were Dreyfus Ashby. And Dreyfus Ashby and vineyard brands I always mix up in my brain, and I apologize to everybody involved about that. So the wine that we poured is vineyard brands, and that's the Haas family, that's Tablas Creek, that's Bolcastel, and Dreyfus Ashby is of course Drapier Champagne and Juhan and such forth. So apologies and all that. I always get those two mixed up. I have no idea why, but it's always been a problem for me. So there we are.
Well, see, now that you've admitted it to the world, now you're going to make sure that
I figure this shit out.
You figure that shit out.
Awesome. So, all right. So, as we're wrapping this up here, here's the deal. So, the importer matters. We did not mention a ton of importers that we love. There's so many of them out there. There are so many of them out there that are of high quality, that have real integrity, that specialize. My favorite idea of a wine importer is specialization, where they focus on an area and they have a proclamation out to the world that here's who we represent and here's why. And a little bit of research goes a long way, because a good importer can really become your buddy as far as finding great wines. There's no doubt about that.
And I don't know if you how deep you want to go down this rabbit hole too, but the small guy importers, people that are just basically a one-man show. And are very familiar with an area or a country
Mhm.
and the wines from that region, and they choose to work with just a couple or sometimes even just one
Yeah.
winery
Yep.
and bring it to the States. Now they've got a really hard hustle ahead of them to get it to distributors.
Right.
And some of them may only work with one distributor in one state
Mhm.
and that's it. Or they may just say, well, this little small region of the United States,
Right.
I'm going to focus on these states and try to get these wines into distributors in these states. And we have a friend who does that.
Mhm.
Our friend Chris.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Chris Osgood.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I should have brought a Chris Osgood wine out. So Chris Osgood, well, so this is told again, it's insider baseball. Chris Osgood lives out in the West Metro of the Twin Cities. Chris Osgood is a wine importer. Owns a company called Vinde Campan Selections, and he specializes in southwestern France. Just wineries in southwestern France. And he's also the guitarist for the Suicide Commandos, the seminal founding punk rock band of the Twin Cities. Before Husker Du, there was the Suicide Commandos. Yeah,
they were
and,
OG.
They are the OG. And there are people that do this successfully as a side hustle. So yes, Chris is an importer, but he does not hold inventory. He connects up with the wine company who we just talked about and bought a bottle from, and they hold his inventory as the direct importer of his selections.
Yeah.
But he's the
one who finds the wineries and brokers the deal.
Right. And as a broker, he gets 5 or 10% of the sales from these wineries. So the way that these things work is fascinating because how wine gets to you as the end consumer can be much more convoluted than you ever thought.
It can be very complicated.
And sometimes people are getting a slice of the pie. Sometimes people are getting money on markup, but oftentimes it's all about inventory. And in the end, all that matters is you and whether you buy the wine and find value in it. That's all that matters. But the path to get to that question can sometimes be very long and very strange. Yeah. And that's what tonight was all about. Yeah. So super cool.
That it's some of these importers that are 100% responsible for getting some of these amazing wines out there. Yeah. If it wasn't for them, we'd be stuck with just the same set of bottles in every store. Yep. Because it would just be big business and nobody would even know about some of these smaller wineries. Yeah. Unless you lived over in that village in France or wherever. Exactly. So, yeah. So
it's wild.
God bless the importers.
That's it for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to turn the camera down to Oscar so that Lori can see. Add Oscar really quick here.
Yeah.
And so if I do that.
Yep. Yeah. There's Oscar.
Hey, Oscar. There we are. You're taking up some space.
You're taking up space. Yeah. That's all right. That's and then George went away. He had been down here, but now he's somewhere else.
Oscar's like, what the hell?
Oscar's just like, I'm not facing the camera. Just don't even. Don't even.
That's awesome.
And all right. Okay.
So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night. The next webinar is coming up. Sign up. And if you're in town here, please come to one of our wine classes. That's what pays for these webinars. So, support us any way you can. Spread the word for the replay of this to friends. And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you. And I'm excited about all things coming up. We've got fantastic webinars on
Beverly
on
and
the
Ken.
horizon.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Lori.
Yep.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Thank you, Joanne.
All
awesome.
Right.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Good to see you all virtually.
See you next time.
Kind of feels like COVID.
See ya.